Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and this will be the late autumn early winter posting. I'm sure a lot has happened since my last posting, and I'm recording this before any how shall we say political outcomes are known. So I'm sure when you receive and be watching this, it'll be rather interesting. Anyway, we're not here to discuss politics. We're here to discuss model making. And I'm going to be getting on with my pillar of persuasion, which you can see just nestling there in the corner. But before I do that, there is one thing I want to show you, and that is my Chimera Marauder. Now, I know I said in my last posting that I'd finished the Chimera, and I had, but you know my motto, never say never. And I've been looking at it over the past couple of days, and I realized that there really was something missing. And the more I looked at it, the more it became more obvious, and that is the fact that I haven't given it much defense. In other words, I've only given it the guns at the front. What it needed, what it really needed, was a turret at the back, and so I have actually fabricated one. Here it is. And so, in order to finally finish off the Chimera Marauder, I'm going to make a turret for it, and it's going to be placed at the back there. And as you can see, that really does set the ship off. So I'm going to paint it and put it into position, and then the Chimera will definitely be finished. Right, we'll just do that, and then we can get on with the pillar of persuasion. But I really wanted to show you this because I really wanted to get this thing finished. So there's the turret installed, painted, and put into position, and I think, yes, I know you've heard me say this before, I think that finally finishes the model. It sets it off, and it's what was needed. I think is what was needed, because as I said, I hadn't given it really logically enough defence. If this is supposed to be a smuggler's vehicle, which I kind of thought it was going to be a converted freighter into a kind of smuggler's ship, and it needed that extra turret at the back. And of course, it does obviously make it look far more like a World War II plane, which is the influences that I wanted to sort of have on it. But it really does set it off. Yeah, that really does work. I was a bit worried about the bulge, the fact that the guns were looking a little bit out of scale. That's why I added these extra muzzles at the front, just to bring the scale down a bit, so it looks more realistic. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. And from all angles, it really does set it off. So, right, that's the Chimera Marauder finally finished. I think. No, it really is. I can't add any more to it. You got to know when to stop, and I'm really stopping now. But that turret has set it off. Good. Right. Well, I'm finally finished on that one. So now we're going to continue on into the pillar of persuasion, and then get that done, which is the next big project. The next finishing off project that I want to do, and that's what the rest of this video is going to be about. And you'll see the end results at the end of the video. So keep watching, and let's see how far we can get. Right, onward and upward, as they say. So we're back with the pillar of persuasion, and I've started by developing more the back part of the arms that come out from either side of the ship, and I'm going to start developing the fins at the bottom, but I'm going to start with the conning tower. And the more I'm looking at this ship, the more I'm realizing that the conning tower is wrong. It doesn't look right. I can't put my finger on it. Well, I can put my finger on it. It just is the wrong shape for the ship itself. It's not sleek enough. It bulges out like some kind of sprig of cauliflower on top of the ship and doesn't look right. So I'm decided to dispense with that, and I'm going to use this piece instead. I'm going to cut it down even further so it actually looks lower, and then it's going to be a lot more sleeker and look a lot more sleeker, and that's what I want. I want a sleek looking ship rather than one which has a big bulbous bulge coming out of it. So, and that's going to make it, and that's going to set it off a lot better. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to throw this piece away. I've got an idea for that on a later build. So that's going to go into storage and be used at a later time, because it's still useful and it's still interesting to look at. But I'm going to use that at a later time. But going back to the pillar of Persuasion, that's where I'm going to start. That's my starting point. So let's cut this down, and then I'll put it in, and you can see what I'm talking about. So that's the conning tower cut down, and I think that follows the line of the ship better. And yeah, it's not so bulbous, and it works, and it gives the ship a greater scale, I think. So that's the starting point. I think that's going to work very nicely on the ship itself. So we'll use that as a starting point. As I say, lots of work to do on it, of course. It's got to be a lot of detail, and then a lot of bulking out along the sides, and merging the whole thing in. But that's a good shape. That will be a good. That's a much better profile. And I want to sort of also get some stuff cut and for the fins, to bulk the fins out a bit more as well. But yeah, that's a good starting point, a good place to be. Right. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's continue. So work continues, and as you can see, I have started to develop the conning tower, which I should give you a closer look in a second, and then added some more details along the arms. But I really need to sort of also start on the fins now. I need to sort of start bulking those out and start working on them, seeing where I'm going to be going with them. But let's have a look at the conning tower. Ooh. So as you can see, I have started to sort of work on that, giving it better shape and so on. Yeah, I know it looks a bit like Star Warsy like, but that's because I'm using some Star Warsy parts. But by the time I've finished, it won't look so Star Warsy. It'll look more generic, more general. But yeah, so that's the conning tower started, and getting some bits and pieces for that, which is where we're going to go with that. Oops. But yeah, so work started on it. We need to sort of also work on the spine as well. Start marrying up the spine. The front part, I think, is more or less completed, as is the back part. Although I will be looking at both of those parts as we build up the rest of it. But anyway, there we are for now. That's I'm running out of time now this weekend, so obviously we'll continue on the next post. But yeah, we're getting there. We're starting to develop this ship. All right, onward and upward. And so work continues, and as you can see, I am now slowly starting to work more on the back, filling in gaps and making that more logical, more functional. And I have started to bulk out the bottom fin, or fins, it's the same on the other side, with some extra pieces to make it look, again, more substantial. And overall we're getting there. And I think what needs to be done now is a general filling in of gaps and structure, so that the whole thing looks like it's all part of a whole, before I go back and start doing the greebly passing, which the greebly, the detailing takes, I'll start again. It's the detailing that takes the time, but the actual filling in of the structure is the thing that sort of gives it the base, the foundation. So we'll fill in the structure, make sure that that it looks all whole and there's no gaps, and then we'll start the greebly passing. But you see, because on the whole, we're getting there. I think what I'm going to need to do is make a trip to the model store for some uh, uh, World War II battleship parts, because definitely I will need them up here on the conning tower and along the spine, and possibly down along the fin section. If you can see what I've done down there, that's how the fin section works. And yeah, so we're moving on through, but as you can see, lots of gaps to make those parts merge in properly. But the fin section is looking good, and as I say, we need to now look at the back as well, get that tidied up. Right, onward and upward, we will continue. So the back is coming on nicely, as you can see. I filled in quite a few gaps, and that's looking good. I'm going to sort of put some primer on it now, and that should bring out all the detail, and then show me what I need to then do, and then we'll start working our way forward again. And one of my battleships has arrived, which is good, so I can start now working on the conning tower. But no, that back is now looking a lot better. The engine details, and I say once a bit of primer is applied, and we can start greebling up a little bit, giving it a bit more definition. That's going to work very nicely. Good. Right, let's continue. So there we are. That's what I've been doing this afternoon, is to continue fabricating the conning tower area. And I've had to do it in two parts. I'll explain what I mean. So first of all, I've been fabricating the main conning tower area, just putting in bits and pieces which obviously are going to be filled in later on, and with more smaller greeblies to put into its place. But that's the general kind of shape. You start with a gross shape like that, and then you start to refine it bit by bit. So that's that bit. But also on the spine itself, I put this bit here, which also comes off. This bit here. So when all the things are then placed on top of one another, like that. Oops, like that. It all does fit in. Difficult to do it one-handed. But that's how it kind of looks. When it's all fitted in like that. Then that's what you're looking at. And of course, I can't really fit this on top until I've worked on the bottom and got everything else merged in with one another. But and also I've done a little shuttle bay there on the back there. So yeah, that's the general shape of the conning tower area, which I'm happy with. And on the whole, I think that, as I say, retains the profile which is what I wanted for the ship. Right. Well, it's been a good few hours, but I think I'll continue it tomorrow afternoon when I feel a bit more rejuvenated. But happy with the work I've done this afternoon on that, and it looks yeah, it looks okay. Right, onward and upward, we will continue. Well, that was a productive couple of hours. It took me 4 hours to be perfectly honest, and although it looks a bit untidy because I've got a lot of filler onto it, that's the conning tower almost fabricated with lots of greeblies and structures onto it. But yeah, that's done. When I put a bit of primer on it, you'll see how it pops more easily. But all the gaps have been filled on it, which is good. And so yeah, happy with that. And yeah, So say about 4 hours to do that. I'll put it in place and you can see what it looks like on the model itself. But yeah, okay, let's put it on there, and you can have a look, and I'll show you. There we are. That's the conning tower in place, and happy with that. Obviously the back bit there needs to be looked at, and as I say, I can't really totally fix it until the rest of the model has been looked at, especially because I've got to turn the model upside down to do all the underneath, and I can't do that when the conning tower is in place. So we've just worked on the conning tower this afternoon to get that into position, but that conning tower, oops, excuse me, that conning tower looks a lot better now, and it's coming along, and doesn't look like the cauliflower sprig that the other one did before. The idea is not to do too much, to keep it within a particular framework, which I think I have. Not too big, not too spread out, but rather compact. Right, let's continue. So another weekend and another bit of work on the pillar of persuasion. Starting to fill in the back now, the back and the bottom, because it wasn't, basically I wanted to get a through line like that, and I wasn't getting it. It was, if you remember before, it was dropping down and it wasn't looking solid enough. So I think I've made it look a bit solid enough. I'll turn it around the other way so you can see what it looks like on the other side as well. And I've been working on the conning tower, getting this bit to marry up with this bit as well, so that the whole thing starts to look like a solid whole. I haven't glued it down again, as I said, because I still need to take it off so I can turn the ship over and do the bottom. One of the things I found out when I was busy filling in the bottom bit here was that, of course, the stand needed to be adjusted because it was cut to accommodate the way it looked before. So I had to recut the bottom of the stand in order to accommodate the new bit that had been stuck in. Now I'll turn it around and you can see what it looks like on the other side. And there it is on the other side, the way it's been filled in there. So it looks slightly different, but that's okay because I do like asymmetrical workings. When it's all filled with primer, of course, it will blend in, and it blends in at the moment there, which is quite nice. And as I say, I've worked up. That's what the top looks like as well. So yes, it's coming on. There you go. That's the general shape. And as I say, I think it looks less. It looks now like the whole structure is now one. It doesn't look disjointed. It looked slightly disjointed before, and now it doesn't. So I'm happy with that. Although I still might have to work underneath here, that area down here, because that's a sudden sharp shape, which I'm not quite happy with. I want to make that a little bit more smoother, a little bit more streamlined down there. We'll see how we go. Right, well that's Sunday work completed. We'll go on with the next post shortly. Onward and upward. Right, another radical rethink. I have decided to take off the whole of the fins down below because I didn't like the idea of a double fin. It doesn't work. It wasn't working at all, and it didn't fit in with the rest of the ship. Yes, I've taken the top off for the moment. So I have junked it. I've taken it completely to pieces, and I'm redesigning it, refabricating it. I'm not going to get rid of these bits, but I have thinned them down a bit, and they're going to go on here like that. But because of this insert here, which will form the inside of the fin, it'll now look like one big fin instead of two fins, which will look much better. So that's what we're heading for now, and that's going to work out much better. So we're going to start refabricating the whole thing like that. But that, as a shape, looks better than the other shape that I had, which was just wrong. It just doesn't working, and it wasn't in keeping with the other ships that I've got up my, which I'm designing, which have a single fin coming down. A double one just didn't work. It was too flimsy. It just looked wrong in the end. So yeah, if something's not working, take it apart, start again, which is what I've done. But which means that, of course, this fabrication is going to take a lot longer than I anticipated. But that's okay, because I'd rather get it right than be satisfied with second best. So let's try that again, and get that working properly. Right, onward and upward. So I've been working on the bottom fin, and as you can see, I have now, if you can see what I mean by joining the two smaller fins up to make one larger one, that's what I've done, and I think that looks a lot better. Still haven't finished the fabrication because I want to tidy this little section up here, but it works at the back as well. Oops, get that out of the way. See, it works at the back as well, so that's now beginning to work quite nicely. As I say, the other side is the same, and I've tidied up the conning tower as well, so it all sort of merges into one. I haven't, as I say, attached it yet, and there's still work to do on the bottom area there, but that's coming along. And we have worked on the back engine as well. So the major fabrication is done, and we're getting down to the nitty-gritty now of filling and tiny greeblies just to bring the whole thing together. But on the whole, if I pan out a little bit more, that's the general shape of the ship, and I think that works nicely. It's a much more streamlined, and I've got rid of that bulge that came out at the top. The top now looks more streamlined and merging into the general body as a whole. So happy with that. Yeah, so on we go, and we'll see how far we can get it. But today, doing a little bit more work on it. It's time soon for a general coat of primer, just to set it off again, so I can see where I am and what I'm doing. But yeah, that's again looking much better than it was originally before I started reworking it. So quite a bit of work underneath the ship now, this section here. I wasn't sure whether this was going to actually work. I kept on testing it and testing it and testing it to make sure that I wasn't barking up the wrong tree. But no, I think that does come together. It alters the appearance of the ship, but still works with it. I think it doesn't make it look too outlandish. It looks a little bit snazzy, a little bit I don't know. Does it still work as a I don't know, a ship from the 23rd century, 24th century? Perhaps not. Perhaps we're looking at something far into the future. But I think no, I think it begins to work now. I think it still works, and happy with that. What I might do is to try and just disguise that rather aggressive zigzag a bit more by putting something in the elbow of that, just there, just to bring it down a bit. We'll see. We'll have a look. But I do think once well, I'll have to put some primer on it. I'll put some primer on it, and that will show me what I'm looking at, because at the moment it's all completely different colours now, and it's beginning to look really quite a hodgepodge. So I need to, yeah, I need to draw it all in together. And once it's drawn all in together, I'll have a much better idea. Even though I've still got a lot of work to do and there's lots of gaps and so on, I think a bit of primer now is called for, which unfortunately I haven't got because I've run out. So, but I will get the primer and put the primer on, and then we'll have a look and see where we are. But I think it's still workable and it's still working, and I think it looks all right. Yeah, I think it still looks all right. All right, let's get some primer on it this time round, and let's see what it looks like, shall we? So there's the first coat of primer put onto it. Well, first coat of primer of the new ship, and I can see that it's absolutely riddled with gaps, which I expected in the first place. So this is going to be a really big job because although yeah, as you can see, I've also done the fabrication on the bottom there, which I think it does actually work now, and it reduces the zigzag, which is what I was worried about. But as I said, it's riddled with gaps, so we're now going to have to do the laborious process of going through the ship bit by bit from stern to prow, and take rid of all of those gaps and put in the small greeblies which detail it up. But that is the general shape, and I'm sticking with that now. Yeah, I'm not gonna add to it. That's what it's going to look like, but we're just going to have to now refine it and refine it as we go along. But yeah, I think that works, and yeah, happy with that. There might be one or two little details at the front and the back which I look at, but not too much. The shape is there. We just have to now start filling in the gaps and refining it. Right, this is going to take me longer than I thought, so might not get it finished on this post, but I do want to get this as much as possible. We're heading towards Christmas now, and there are a few things in the post for me for next year, which I'll share with you at the end, I think. Right, let's go on. So it's 6 o'clock on Sunday evening, and I have had to finish for the weekend. And as you can see, I have certainly with the back end radically altered it yet again, but I think I've made it better. I think that's the shape now, because I know what I had to do was because it was beginning to that bottom bit was curving upwards slightly, and was making the shape well, it wasn't straight. So now I've joined this. So now that I have a straight line running right the way through to the end from prow to stern, and you can also see that I have developed the engines better. This is the same on the other side, and I've covered up a lot of the mishmash. It wasn't looking. It was looking. It was looking chaotic at the back, and I covered that up with this particular piece there. I've said before in the past. Sometimes you'll be working on a particular model, on a particular piece of the model, and you've used up an awful lot of pieces, and then you end up by covering up all of those pieces that you've worked on with another piece. And you think to yourself, well, I've wasted all those pieces. Well, yes, you've sacrificed those pieces, but you've made the model look better. Sometimes you have to sacrifice the end pieces for making, so that the whole thing works as a whole, which it does now. And as I said in the just before, yes, it's riddled with still riddled with gaps, but the gaps are coming down now. And I'm able to look at this more in a better light. The gaps are coming down, and the whole thing has really evolved. It's no longer, it's still a kind of Sirocco like, but I think of it more as an Eve Online ship, there's a website called Eve Online, which has similar kind of shaped ships on its as it's part of its armada, and I like those ships, and this has a kind of similar place to it. So it's still possibly part of the same universe that I want it to be part of, but I do like that shape. I do think that's worked very nicely. So anyway, we are getting there, and it's coming along nicely. But that's the end of the weekend now, so the next post will be the following weekend, I think. I say, this probably won't come out now till around Christmas time, but you know, I want to get it right, so there's no rush. Anyway, onward and upward. Let's continue. No, you're not seeing things. I haven't taken leave of my senses. This isn't a complete reworking of the Pillar of Persuasion. This is, in fact, another model, which you might have seen lurking in the backgrounds of my introduction. But I found that piece, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to work on a third model while I'm, because I've done my Chimera Marauder. I've done the Pillar of Persuasion, which I'm still working on in the back there. Yeah, see, I haven't forgotten it. It's still there. But I thought, in order again not to become jaded and take a small break from that, because we're almost finished on that. But I want to. You can become, as I say, jaded a bit. I have decided to start. This will be my next model to start and finish, and this is a reworking of my Tyrannus, which I had done some years ago and I wanted to make better. So again, this will be another model to work, and as you can see, I have put this new bit at the end, and that's working very well. And of course, the more observant amongst you will notice that they are all part of the same Armada. Is it Armada? Is that how you pronounce it? So that's the Pillar of Persuasion in the back, the Tyrannus here, and then up on the shelf we have the Sword of Vengeance. So they're all going to be part of a Armada set in a future history, some uh, 10 to 20,000 years in the future, and they're all part of the what I would call the Terran Empire, or the Terragen Empire, which is an Earth-based empire which is now lost to the mists of time, as the colonies spread out along Orion's arm, which is a part of the galaxy, which is we're a part of the Orion's arm. The next arm along is the Sagittarius arm. So this is Orion's arm. We're part of it, and as humanity spread out along Orion's arm, building colonies, it these ships went with it, and so that's part of my future history. So anyway, so was going to be the Tyrannus, and it's going to, and I'm going to continue to start working on that as well, because when I eventually go on and do the exhibition in the summer, I want to take my Armada with me. Right. Well, I just thought I'd show you that because I'm going to be working on that as well as my other ship, the Pillar of Persuasion, which I have nearly finished, I think. Although, as I said, a lot to do, but I don't want to become jaded, so I have put that aside for this weekend while I did a bit of work on that. And that just sort of, recharges the batteries, so to speak, and makes me, gives me more impetus. Right, okay, well, let's see how far we can get with both these models over the next few weeks before Christmas, because I'd like to post at Christmas and show you how far I've become. Okay, so a little bit more work done on the new ship, which in fact I'm changing the name of. It was the Tyrannus. I'm actually going to call it now the the Shield of Tyrannus, which marries in with the other names that I've got on my other ships. So I've just basically been doing some filling and some adding some bits and pieces, especially along the spine here, about that bit there. Now, as regards to these bits that jut out, the other side is the same. I'm wondering whether to leave it as it is, and so because they look like giant docking ports, or docking bays, or whether to put some arms in, and I'll show you what I mean. So I made these arms, which are similar to the arms on the other ship, the Persuasion, pillar of Persuasion, and you can actually fit them into the bay like that. I say the other side is the same, but I'm not so sure whether that actually works. I think that looks a bit messy. I mean, not messy, it just looks a bit wrong. It doesn't look compact enough. It juts out too much, I think. I think that makes for a tidier shape myself, and it gives me a better profile. So I'm going to, yeah, from that point of view, so I'm going to, I think, leave it as it is. But what I might do, well, what I'm going to have to do is detail that section in there, so it does look like a giant docking bay, and the other side will be another docking bay on the other side. But I think, because I want them to look compact and sleek rather than all going out at different angles. And yeah, I don't think those arms work. They work on the pillar of Persuasion, and the reason they work is because they're not jutting out so much. They're more like pushed in. They're more flush with the main body. And similarly, on the Sword of Vengeance, well, there's not really any arms there at all. They slightly jut out, but yeah, they're flush with the body. So I think that on the whole, that works. I might add some probes coming out sort of like here, but I don't want it to come out too far. See what I mean? On the other hand, what I could do is cut that so that it looks like that. Cut it in so it drops down. So that's another option. I'm going to have to think about that, really. And as I think about it, I will take the week to think about it and go away and think about it. That's what I've done so far. Right, okay, well, that's about it for today. So we'll continue and on the next post and see how far I can get. But it's looking, yeah, I'm happy. Now I've got 3 ships now, almost, well, 2 ships on the on the workbench, 1 completed, and there are 2 other ships actually that are coming along, which are going to be added to the Armada as well. So I should have 5 ships by the end of the summer, I hope. Anyway, let's continue onward and upward. So I've been sticking with the Shield of Tyrannus for now, and in actual fact I've decided to go with the arms, because I have added more bulk to the main structure of the ship. I put fins on the arms themselves to give it an interesting profile now, which I think that works there. And I've also bulked out the back of the ship there, so that looking at it from that angle, I'll turn it around so you can see the whole ship. Looking at that angle, the arms don't appear to come out of the body too far now, and are actually in proportion with the rest of the ship. So the arms now work because I have bulked out the spine and the structure of the ship like that. And those add-ons work. So the profile is, yeah, that works as well. I'll turn the ship around and you can see the other side as well. There's the other side. As you can see, those, yeah, I think that structure works. Again, I've lost some detail that I put in behind, but I think that detail doesn't really matter too much. I think this adds to it. So, and as I say, the arms add to it as well. So that's beginning to really take off now as a model. Yeah, happy with that. That's looking quite impressive, imposing rather. It's up to others to say if it looks impressive or not, but that's looking quite imposing as a ship. And I forgot to add last time when I was showing you the shield of Tyrannus, that of course the conning tower. Do you recognise the conning tower? Well, it's the conning tower to the Persuasion. That's right. The pillar of Persuasion, which I took off, and I put another conning tower on the pillar of Persuasion. That's the conning tower I took off. So, and that works nicely on the shield of Tyrannus. I'm getting quite confused with all these names that I've made up now. I keep on confusing them, but I think I'm getting there. So yeah, so that's what I've been working on today. Of course, as just like the Pillar of Persuasion, the Shield of Tyrannus is riddled with gaps, and the gaps are going to have to be filled, and that's going to take time, and I'm going to run out of time before Christmas, but I'm going to do a few more postings before I post the whole video, I think. So you will get some idea of Christmas time, which, well, of course, you're watching it now at Christmas time. You'll have gotten some idea of where I am up at, but that I'm quite happy with. The Shield of Tyrannus is working nicely as a model, and I'll do a few. If I can do a few more before Christmas time, I will. Right, well, that's this posting done with, and we'll continue to work on it, onward and upward. I do want to go back to the Pillar of Persuasion and do a bit more work on that as well, just to bring that up to speed as well. But that's working nicely. Right, onward and upward. So back on the Pillar of Persuasion, and just to marry it in with the Shield of Tyrannus, I have decided to put fins onto the leading arms here. As I say, I've been working on the back as well, and it's beginning to remind me that these ships are looking very much now like ships that you might find on the Halo game, as well as the EVE Online game. So there's two influences there that are really beginning to shine through. But right, so we're back on this ship now, and we are approaching the laborious task of filling all the gaps, which is the next task. So I'm going to dive in now and start filling the gaps, and I think that will take me a number of posts, a number of days to do, but I want to get quite a lot done between now and Christmas on the Pillar of Persuasion. Right, let's continue. And once again added some more bits along there, and that's as far as I'm going to go with adding extra now. I do need to get onto the filling, but I had to tidy up that area there because it was messy. It was too much. It was too much of a patchwork of greeblies and what I'd put onto it. So I needed to get rid of all of that fabrication, which was, as I say, patchworky, and marry it all up together give it more of a uniform, which I have done with that piece there. The other side is the same. And as I've said before, I've probably hidden or sacrificed, as I say, like to call it, quite a few pieces underneath. But it doesn't matter, because by doing that, I've tidied the ship up and it looks better. So there is the final result of the pillar of persuasion. Now we get down to the filling and the last little bits of greebling, which will be the all the probes and stuff like that. But that is it. Right, onward and upward. I will probably run out of time before Christmas now, so a couple more extra posts, and then I'll post around Christmas time the whatever I'm up to, however far I've got. Okay, so that's the pillar of persuasion primed, at least with another coat of primer anyway. That just brings all the bits and pieces together, as you can see. Now I'll just show you what I've done with the shield of Tyrannus, because I've altered it quite drastically. Well, I've added to it quite drastically, so I'll just show you that as well. And this is the sorry, this is the shield of Tyrannus, Titan class. As you can see, I have really developed the arms to make them into oversized engines, and I'm going to put more battleship parts on top of the two engine mounts, one there and one over there, to give it this sort of almost not superstar destroyer. That's not what I'm thinking about. It's a more of a massive city-sized ship idea. In the game EVE Online, there are a class of ships called the Titans, which are massive ships, and I thought it might be fun to develop my Shield of Tyrannus along sort of massive Titan-like lines. So that's what that's going to be there. If you look at the back, that's how the engines look from the back. So it's a bit dark, but that's the kind of idea that I'm looking at. And obviously this is going to take a lot of greebling, a lot of filling, and a lot of detailing to give me that Titan-like idea and structure, but the general shape, I think, is pretty cool, if I say so myself. So with the two ships still on the bench, this is proving to be a longer build, and I think that for now I'm going to call this the end of part one and post now, because it's, well, Christmas is upon us. It's just past Christmas, in actual fact. It's Boxing Day, and I am going to I have to leave it now for a week or two because of other things that we are doing over this particular time period. So now would seem a good place to pause and to regather my energies and strengths before we move on and continue with these two builds. But these two builds are going to take up some time, and it might be that I go backwards and forwards with these two builds and do other things in the meantime, because I don't want to ruin the builds, and it's going to take some time to get it all together. But I'm happy with what we've got so far. So that's the end of this posting, everybody. I'm afraid we didn't get to finish any particular model this time round, but although of course you saw the my Chimera Marauder at the beginning, but I think considering the amount of work I've taken on with these two builds, that's not totally surprising, and I want to produce two really nice massive starships for my Armada, which I'm going to display in the summer. So the next post will be in a month or two's time, an update on these builds, and perhaps some other things that I'm doing as well in the meantime. And all I can do is wish you a very happy new year. Hope you had a good festive time leading up to it. And let's hope for peace, constructiveness, and lots more positive making in the new year. I'll speak to you soon, guys, and thanks for following the channel so far. Won't be too long. See you soon. Bye for now.